if our legislative leaders on the other side of the aisle were serious, they'd help us get to a top line number, and we can ensure some regular order and get this done. But hope springs eternal around this place, and that's what you heard the chairman say.
Second round.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay.
So I know that there's been a lot of discussion about, more bipartisanship, potentially coming in the next Congress with Republicans having a narrow majority. I want to ask, do you have any hard limits when it comes to things that you would not want to compromise or, find consensus when it comes to certain things, maybe around, immigration, civil rights, et cetera? Any hard limits for Democrats that you don't want to compromise on?
Well, from my perspective, the top line is we will always defend democracy, fight for freedom, including reproductive freedom, protect the public interest, and lean into policies that ensure economic opportunity in every corner of America, as opposed to doing things like the GOP tax scam, where 83% of the benefits went to the wealthiest 1% in America. That would be a non-starter. At the same time, we are genuinely interested in trying to find common ground with the other side of the aisle to advance priorities that make life better for everyday Americans. Because that's what Democrats are all about at the end of the day. What can we do here in Washington to improve the lives, the well-being, the safety, and security of the American people? Catherine.
I just wanted to add, I think a real difference between the Democrats and the Republicans is that we are not going to lead by obstruction. We are here to continue the work that we have been doing for the American people. Whether that was the American Rescue Plan, getting vaccines in arms, reopening schools and small businesses, the infrastructure bill, the CHIPS and Science, having a bill with common sense measures to reduce gun violence and increase funding for mental health, the gun violence pieces being the first in 30 years, and then on to the Inflation Reduction Act, where we were able to drive down the deficit while increasing, a historic investment in addressing climate change and building resiliency and good green jobs, and driving down costs of healthcare for our seniors. So our door is open to continuing to make progress for the American people. And I think that what we are seeing play out for the GOP at this moment is when you lead by division, then it gets hard to put together a team. But our values are clear, and we are standing in those, and we will work with anyone who will work in a honest, straightforward way for the American people.
Chairman Jeffries, Basil Gentleman, next star. I'd like to hear from all three of you on it, but I know there's a large list of items that Democrats have prioritized for the rest of the year. Obviously, government funding is a really big thing, as well as Respect for Marriage Act, but are Democrats confident that they'll be able to take care of everything that they have been talking about? I know Dreamers Bill, there's been talks about a transfer of power legislation as well. So are there items that Democrats feel they have to prioritize and then leave the rest of it for possibly the next Congress?
There are ongoing discussions within the House Democratic Caucus family, of course, led by Speaker Pelosi, who is always hard at work advancing the priorities of the American people that we share in common, and making sure we can get as much over the legislative finish line as possible. Those discussions are ongoing. The efforts are ongoing. They will continue to bear fruit, as we will see later on this week when we pass the Respect for Marriage Act and send that to the president's desk to be signed into law.
Thank you. White House spokesperson Andrew Bates criticized yesterday the House GOP leadership for largely being silent over former President Trump's remarks about terminating the Constitution. My question to all of you, have you had a chance to talk to McCarthy about this, and what is your message for him and for your colleagues across the aisle when it comes to President Trump's remarks?
I've not had the opportunity to talk to Kevin McCarthy about this issue, but here is my view on the subject. George Washington, in his farewell address to the nation, made the profound observation in 1796 that the Constitution is sacredly obligatory upon all. That means everyone. It includes charlatans, demagogues, racial arsonists, malignant narcissists, wannabe dictators, and former presidents. All of the above. The Constitution is sacredly obligatory upon all. That means you, Donald, you do not have the ability to terminate the Constitution. That's the beauty of American democracy. Why is it so hard for my colleagues on the other side of the aisle who've been taken over by the extreme MAGA Republican wing of the GOP to make that simple observation? It's been part of the character of the nation going all the way back to the founding of the Republic. It made its way into George Washington's farewell address to make it clear. The Constitution is sacredly obligatory upon all. It's in the DNA of this nation. It should not be that complicated to denounce the former president. Go to the back.
I know for a fact that Republican Richard Hudson, who will be the incoming NRCC chairman, has already been working, recruiting candidates across the country. You have this pick for the DCCC chair. Do you have a person in mind, names in mind, and how soon will you make that decision?
Well, those discussions are ongoing according to the caucus rules. The incoming leader will have until the middle of February or so to make that decision. I expect that it will happen much sooner than that. Go back to the other side, yeah.
It's clear that you guys are going to leave town this year without raising the debt ceiling. There's no interest in doing a bipartisan one. How difficult is that going to be next year? Are we going to see another brinkmanship? Will we see a credit downgrade? What do you anticipate as far as coming from Republicans on the debt ceiling next year?
Well, let's see what happens. I don't want to comment about what may or may not occur because, as I mentioned earlier, 3 weeks is an eternity here in Washington, D.C., and a lot could happen over the next few weeks to get things over the finish line, whether that relates to, as it will, the NDAA, hopefully a year-end spending agreement, not a continuing resolution, and let's see what happens in other areas like the Electoral Count Act or dealing with business such as the debt ceiling. The one thing that is clear, and this is another example of Republican extremism, the notion that extreme MAGA Republicans would threaten to default on our nation's debt for the first time in American history in order to blow up Social Security and Medicare is stunning. It's catastrophic if that were to occur. And it's my hope that we can find a way out of the brinksmanship, particularly given the fact that major Republican leaders have threatened to hold the American economy hostage to their extreme ideology on Social Security and Medicare. That's problematic. Let's see if we can find a way to deal with it over the next few weeks. If not, we're going to have to confront it next year.
It's just another, as the chairman said, stunning example of a quest for power that excludes all other factors. There is no reason why, even before all the votes were counted in the midterms, we see leaders from that party saying we will take our economy hostage in order to undermine our seniors and health care in this country with Social Security and Medicare cuts. It is beyond irresponsible, and it is the type of vision that the current GOP in the House has for the American people. So again, our door is open if they decide to work for our economy, to continue to recover, to continue to make an economy where every single person can see opportunity for themselves.
question for Chairman Jeffries. How do you seek to unite the, progressives at one end of the party and the more moderate conservative Democrats, the other end of the party? And in terms of this and other issues, what do you hope to do similarly as a leader to Nancy Pelosi, and is there anything you hope to do differently?
I think on our side of the aisle, it's all wine and roses right now. It's puppies and rainbows. Because we are coming off of historic overperformance in terms of the House of Representatives, when my colleagues on the other side of the aisle were measuring the drapes, predicting that we were going to lose 40, 50, 60 seats, this would be the equivalent of what happened in 2010. That didn't occur. Because as a family, we have moved forward together. Progressives, New Dems, Blue Dogs, problem solvers, all points in between. Because at the end of the day, what unites us is our genuine, authentic commitment to putting people over politics, to fighting for lower costs, for better paying jobs, for safer communities, defend democracy, fight for freedom, protect the public interest, ensure economic opportunity in every corner of America. Those aren't just words. That's a way of life for House Democrats, which brings us all together. And with this incredible leadership team, Catherine Clark, Pete Aguilar, and others who reflect the gorgeous mosaic of the caucus, and the caucus reflects the gorgeous mosaic of the American people, I'm looking forward to continuing to advance the ball and make progress for everyday Americans. Thank you.